Sit down if you want to.
Right in the middle of what's going on.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
The middle children of history, man.
Middle of the day, Alfred?
Please, take a seat there.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Stop the middle, it's a base hit!
Meeting in the middle.
Like.
They fought for the freedom of middle.
The middle of
the middle of a
war! This is freaking ridiculous!
Why don't we have a seat and talk it over?
No! Not the middle seat!
For the first time in forever, the Middle Seats podcast is back with a normal episode. Let go of all of your ambitions and enjoy the best seat in the house for all things movies and entertainment. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm your Ice Baby King, Andrew Auger. Let's meet all of my snow friends. Reindeers are better than people, but this boy could melt even the iciest of hearts. Mr. Nate Lungarini, how are you today?
Aw, I'm blushing. Feel like a pretty princess after that kind of comment.
Jesus Christ.
See, you're looking at me now and I'm melting. You know how icy my heart is.
Aww.
Anyway, speaking of icy hearts, he's a bit of a fixer-upper because he's as tough to listen to and to look at as Olaf's Frozen Adventure, Mr. Jake Hensler.
Yeah, coming from Pun Master 5000 over there, appealing to the dads over there. Frozen's made for little girls, and you're appealing to the dads.
I almost got every single song from Frozen into that intro. I'm actually pretty proud of it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The Middle Seats podcast, like I said, the best seat in the house for all things movies and entertainment. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad to have you. Our show is divided usually into 3 different segments, although today it's kind of 3.5 because we've got a little bit of maintenance to do about a very special contest between the 3 of us that we're doing during this winter season. Anyway, we're going to start with Lobby Talk, which has to do with one member of the crew pitching a topic. We kind of just talk about it like we were in the lobby of a movie theater. We have some news as well. We've got our review of Frozen 2, as you might have gotten from there. And we'll also give a little bit of an update about our box office challenge that we're doing. If you are watching this video on YouTube, welcome. You can also find full podcasts on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. This video will only have Lobby Talk news and the box office challenge. If you want our Frozen 2 review, find that in a separate video. If you want to skip around in this podcast, there are time codes in the description below. We have a lot to cover. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Let's not waste any more time, gentlemen. Let's move into Lobby Talk, and it's my week.
Let's all go to the lobby.
You're in the lobby? What do you look like?
I will blow up the block before you can make the lobby.
We're full tilt into the holiday season here, and there are a lot of holiday movies in film. But there are some holidays that go neglected, like, of course, Christmas and Halloween are the 2 most popular. Like, those ones get tons of movies. I'm sure there's even a few Thanksgiving movies in there every once in a while. But there are a lot of holidays, that get the short end of the stick. And today, as my challenge for Lobby Talk, each member of the crew is going to pitch a movie based on a more obscure holiday. And I think as a consensus, we'll pick which one we would greenlight if we were the studio. So without further ado, Nate Lungarini, he's been hard at work. I saw him scratching with a pencil. I saw steam coming out of his head as he was thinking about his idea before the show. What holiday are you pitching, and what is the premise of your movie?
Alrighty. So I'm going to go with Father's Day. And actually, in hindsight, I might have been a little too inspired by Onward because we're starting to get more posters and trailers of that.
Yeah, big father themes in that. Yeah,
big father themes for sure. And I actually really like the fantasy tropes for this particular pitch as well. But I want to focus specifically on the mythological creatures. I'm thinking like an animated Pixar DreamWorks style movie where the main character is a chimera and he's trying to figure out who his dad is, Mamma Mia style. But because he's a chimera, like, he could be a dragon, it could be a griffin, it could be all sorts of crazy mythological creatures. And I think trying to just, like, go through some weird Middle-earthy type world, trying to find out who your dad is, could be a really fun kids romp.
Is this a musical?
You know what? Yeah. Let's differentiate ourselves a little bit from the Pixar audience. Let's go full musical on it.
It already sounds better than whatever that Owen Wilson movie was a couple years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
The one yes.
Where he's looking for his dad and like J.K. Simmons is in it at some point, I think.
Father Figures. Yeah, with the terrible poster.
Father Figures.
Yeah, Nate's already sounds like a better version than that.
You add a dragon to anything and it's already a better movie.
That's fair.
I haven't thought about Father Figures in like 2 years. I'm shook, man.
Well, you're welcome.
Oh, man.
We actually stumped Andrew. If we can see each other when we record, and he's just lost in space.
I'm silent right now. Oh man, I'm just picturing an animated father figures. That's bad for Nate's pitch. Jake made that worse.
No, I think Nate's pitch does sound good. I'm intrigued already.
Do you have any idea for voice cast, or is that you didn't get that far?
Oh yeah, please. I am a whatever sticks to the wall kind of guy. I don't think that far in advance.
Oh yeah, you're a concept dude. You're not a big casting person. I understand. Mine will have a cast when I get to it. Do you want me to go next, Jake? You really sounded like you wanted to go last.
No, I just don't want to go first. I can go next if you want.
Not confident in his idea.
No, I am. I just didn't want to go first.
He's stalling. He's the guy that wants to do the presentation in class last because he's not ready. But I think we're gonna push him, put the pressure on, and see what comes out. Can you create movie magic, Jake?
Andrew acts like he knows me.
I certainly hope he knows who you are at this point.
So I am slightly cheating a little bit, but there's a reason. So Christmas is known as the major like Christian holiday, right? The religious one. But in April, you get like Good Friday, Palm Sunday, Passover, Easter, Orthodox Easter, right? You get a bunch of religious ones in a row, right?
Correct.
Sure.
So I was thinking about a movie surrounding April Fool's Day is before that. So hear me out. Here's my pitch. In a world a few years from now where conspiracy theories are even bigger than they are now, like Zuckerberg's under a lot of fire for allowing certain things on his, social network and whatnot. So a few years from now, it's even worse. And some Reddit user just, whatever, writes like, imagine if like April Fool's Day becoming before all these religious holidays meant something, maybe all of them are not really anything. And then he like goes on a camping trip for a week and he comes back to realize somebody in the deep dark depths of Reddit took it and ran with it and it just blew up and has like the whole world shook. How about how April Fool's Day is really undermining all these other April religious holidays? And I don't know. I kind of thought it'd be like a dark comedy / social commentary on don't believe everything you read.
Huh. It better be released in the year that Easter and all that is in April, because sometimes they're in March.
Yeah, that's true.
The release schedule is key there.
That's true.
I actually really dig that, Jake. It's kind of like undermining faith, but not attacking the religious aspect of it. It's attacking the way we read news and media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like a different kind of faith. I feel like you could actually cover a lot of weird nuances and hypocrisies in that kind of story.
Well, in April, you also apparently you get Earth Day and Tax Day, so I think you could have some fun with comedy there too. Like, no more taxes. What is Earth? Ah!
Huh. Interesting. I'd like to think that you could get like Edgar Wright or like Alexander Payne or somebody really skilled at satire to do it.
Even Taika Waititi, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
After Jojo Rabbit.
Absolutely, after Jojo. Yeah, that's a good one. Jojo Rabbit, by the way, one of the better underappreciated movies of the year if you haven't seen it, in my opinion. Pretty good, Jake. That was pretty deep.
That's why it's a little far-fetched and it's a little cheating, but I didn't want to go first because I wanted to let it marinate a little bit.
Yeah. I definitely have the most obscure of our three holidays. When we were talking about it ahead of the podcast, Nate didn't even know what I was talking about. So that's solid. Good start. really going to the broad demographics here of people who don't really know what this holiday is. But at the same time, everybody loves trees. Trees are cool. And Arbor Day is all about trees. The name of my movie would be Seeds of Life. It is this beautiful drama. It's about a woman who protects a tree with all of her life throughout the decades. She's played by Chloe Moretz as a teenager / young adult, and Meryl Streep as a full-on adult / senior citizen. She does everything near these trees. She sleeps out in front of it every Arbor Day. She has this deep connection to this tree. She talks to the tree, and through voiceover, guess who plays the tree?
Shel Silverstein.
Like the poet?
That's just what I was thinking of.
What does he sound like?
I don't know.
Well, now my answer's not good. I was gonna say David Harbour. Get it? Like Harbour.
Oh, no, that is
Arbor.
good.
Okay.
I like David Harbour.
Yeah.
That's something.
So the whole movie, you spend wondering why we're obsessed with this tree. And guys, guess what? This woman had a tragic loss. Her son died, and her son is buried under that tree. Hence the Seeds of Life.
Well, spoiler alert.
Well, this is a pitch meeting. You don't go, here's the first 2 acts, and then go, good night.
I was getting it. Well, who directs it?
I think I'm just going in my head to Tree of Life, because it sounds like a Terrence Malick movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But
I don't know. You guys have?
I feel like there's got to be
any suggestions
another
for directors
person.
like
Alfonso Cuarón.
Actually, that's a great example.
That would be good.
You could take that and run with that.
Yeah, you need good cinematography and you need a guy who could tell story. So
think of all the cool tree technology he could come up with. Like we had all that gravity stuff. Like, what if he had a tree cam, and like within the branches of the tree, like going up and down? I don't know.
Using GoPros.
He'll figure it out. He's much better coming up with awesome films than I am.
Jake, I want you to note how Nate said, actually, that's a good idea, as in he was shocked.
Well, they are few and far between, but I'm not without them.
Yeah, this whole segment should be called Jake Shook Everybody Else, because between father figures and Shel Silverstein, completely thrown off my game. So thanks for that.
I guess I'm excited about the holidays. I don't know. Maybe it's being in Nate's apartment.
Toasty, as Quiznos would say.
Why?
Oh my.
We're not sponsored by them.
Oh, yeah, not yet. I like all three of our pitches.
Yeah, I would like all three of these to be greenlit. And
Yeah.
I could see like Warner Brothers could do Nate's, and then like A24 would do yours. I don't know who would do mine.
Yeah, yours is kind of like a
Maybe like a Columbia.
Fox Searchlight. What, STX Entertainment? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think that'll do it for Lobby Talk. Guys, we want to hear if you guys have a certain pitch that you want us to possibly green light. Please let us know. Please comment below. With that being said, let's transition nicely from Lobby Talk to our box office update here.
Let's make some money!
All you care about is money.
The box office disaster.
Money, money, money.
Guys, we have our box office draft that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. We got underway at the beginning of November. We've been progressing. We have our teams. We've gone through it. Nate has an update for you, and we're going to have a couple of little bit of team shifts here today. Nate, why?
Well, first off, just a quick update on the numbers. It was a good day to be a Nate Lungarini because I
When is
had
it not?
Yeah, hold on a second. Every day's Good Morning Sunshine, so.
Well, even better because I had both Frozen 2 and Ford v Ferrari come out in theaters in the last 2 weeks since we started recording, and I have shot up almost $200 million over everybody else. Drew is the only other person with movies on the board, and both are not looking as hot. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the new Tom Hanks movie, just came out, and that has the potential to hold. It's got a very good consensus right now, but it's only made $13 million so far. The death sentence could be that Charlie's Angels has only made $14 million over 2 weekends. It only made $5 million its second week. Not good for Drew. That is almost certainly going to be one of the biggest bombs of the year.
Yeah, by Christmas it'll be making like $9.
I think it's obvious that the problem is that America is sexist, and this is why my movie's not making money.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, boy.
We only want Spider-Man movies.
All right, so Jake has yet to get on the board, but he does have Knives Out coming out
Yeah,
soon.
by the time you guys listen to this, Knives Out will have come out.
Yeah, not a great start for me, guys. Not really into that too much, considering I invented the game, and now I'm absolutely desperate for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker to be as big a hit as we all anticipate it to be. I really need it to like come somewhere probably in between Force Awakens, which made like $900 million, and The Last Jedi, which made like $600 million, which is still a pretty decent sized hit, but at the
Really
same time,
a huge hit.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I think a lot of us expected it to be an even bigger hit.
Yeah, well, there's a little petty part of me that's kind of happy to see this because you walked in like you walked into a locker room with your chest all puffed, ready to kick some ass, and now you're kind of struggling a little bit, so that's what you get.
Right.
Like, oh, I got Star Wars beating his chest.
So we have our swap rule too, where we're
He's
able
ignoring
to
me.
swap out one movie, and I'm gonna have to use that, but not because of Charlie's Angels, because another movie on this list has screwed me over even before a poster came out.
But before you do that, I also have the opportunity to trade myself, and because of our box office draft rules, I get to go first, following Jake, who isn't going to be trading this round.
Yeah, because I know how to pick movies.
So,
Okay,
I just triggered Andrew.
says the mother that has cats on his team.
We'll see. Those Taylor Swift cult members are going to go see it.
We'll find out. Anyway, for me, because I'm obviously the most important drafter here, I need my team to get a little bit better because I've lost The Kingsman. It got pushed back, I think, 7 months to come out in September, which means I need to pick a new movie so I can make some money. And I am going to be rolling the dice a little bit and going into the Januaries of the world.
Whoa.
With Bad Boys for Life. I'm hoping that I can squeeze a little bit of the action fans out the same way that Ford versus Ferrari and some of the other action movies have done at least decently well so far. We'll see.
Talk about bold move cotton.
I think you've got your probably 100 mil roughly there, at least.
I hope so.
That's the hope, yeah, for sure. I need to make a shift as well because this has really not gone well so far, guys. I know I said that already, but I'm very disappointed in myself looking at this list and seeing. So I have Charlie's Angels, which did awful. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which it needs to do better. We'll pick it up, I think. Star Wars, Quiet Place Part 2. And then in the movie that I'm not going to need to swap out, Godzilla vs. Kong, which has been moved back several months to November, like this time next year. So, what the hell? Like, okay.
So, basically, he's got one movie right now that looks like to make any kind of money whatsoever.
So, I need to swap out Godzilla vs. Kong. And I think, you know what? I'm going to bank on the children. Give me Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's what I was going to choose if I wanted to.
The movie that essentially pushed out Kingsman, I think. Maybe. They were scared of something that weekend.
They did move it out right after that other trailer came out. Mm-hmm. Where Sonic doesn't...
Sonic is looking better, so we'll see if he's actually better for you.
Yeah.
And much better than Godzilla vs. Kong.
I mean, he doesn't look like an opioid-addicted Chester Cheeto anymore. So... I'm pretty glad that they've fixed the design. So I'm gonna roll with that. I think it's more likely they move Kingsman because of Birds of Prey, in my opinion.
It's possible.
We'll see.
Who knows?
So, okay. Hopefully better weeks are ahead for me. And hopefully worse weeks are ahead for Nate. You know what? I can't stay mad at him. Can you, Jake?
I've never been mad at him.
I love it. Speaking of Godzilla vs. Kong, we're gonna transition nicely here into our news segment.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report.
This is breaking news. I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
So Godzilla vs. Kong, or Godzilla v. Kong, or whatever the hell they're calling it, is positioned to be one of the bigger blockbusters of 2020. Obviously, like we said, it was supposed to come out in March of 2020. It has now been moved back to November 20th of that year. So it's pretty much on its own in that release date. I looked at the surrounding schedule. Eternals, the Marvel movie, comes out at the beginning of November. Then you have a Disney release and Thanksgiving time. That's pretty much the only real competition as far as blockbusters go for the movie. Millie Bobby Brown is back from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Kyle Chandler's also back. It's a really big cast. Isaac Gonzalez, Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, Jessica Henwick, a.k.a. Colleen Wing from Iron Fist, Denai Guerrera, Lance Reddick, Brian Tyree Henry,
Wow.
the Asian woman that played twins in Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Oh, no.
Which maybe they'll address this time, maybe they won't.
Yeah, maybe they're triplets this time. We didn't even know there's another one.
They still won't appear in the same scene.
Right.
Godzilla King of the Monster we talked a little bit about last pod. It made $110 million in the United States, $385 million worldwide.
That's low for worldwide.
Right, exactly.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. $170 million budget, so it needed to do better than that. What do you guys think about this move? Were they scared because they thought they needed to position it in a better spot where there's less competition around it? Because it was going to have to go up against A Quiet Place and probably the remnants of Birds of Prey, and then there's a James Bond movie in April. So there was going to be a lot around it in the spring term. But what do we think? Why do we think they moved it? And are you still excited for this? Jake, let's start with you.
After Godzilla King of the Monsters, you have to queue up that guy from Jurassic Park. Look, nobody cares.
Oh, Dennis Nedry? Yeah.
Yeah. Based on the box office numbers, that's what it sounds like. Because as a kid, I loved Godzilla. Any kind of creative monster idea really, really got me excited. So there is a little part of me that is still excited and hopes it's good. They got a decent director, right? Adam Wingard.
Yeah.
Is who's directing it. He's done a couple decent thriller horror movies. So it's not that they got a nobody, which kind of felt like that with Godzilla King of the Monsters, in my opinion. I know Andrew's disagreed with that, but I don't know. The fact that they're moving it doesn't sound confident, and their lack of quality in King of the Monsters is really not good either. So I'm hoping it's good because I like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff's always interesting to me. We've never got a live action one. Well, not really.
Not a good one.
Not a good American one, I should say. I don't know what they've been doing over in Japan.
Right. So I'm hoping it's good, but yeah, I don't know. This doesn't sound good.
But Nate, that cast, what do you think?
I'm going to focus more on the critical aspect of all this because reviews for King of the Monsters, spoiler alert, were not good. And a lot of our criticisms came from the human characters in our monster movie. And if a lot of them are coming back, I think this screams rewrites and re-edits for the movie because the production schedule between King of the Monsters and Kong was really, really tight. Like, the fact that this movie was coming out so early, originally slated for March, was kind of surprising in itself because it had only been a couple months since the second one came out. So I think they had to really assess not only the financial reaction, but the fan reaction to the story they had and said, can we do some reshoots here? Can we make this better than what we have? And I think ultimately they decided we can't do it in the time that we have. So hopefully, knock on wood, they're pushing it back so they can do it right and not, oh crap, we're screwed. Delay.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm just so mad at myself that I drafted this film.
Well, it doesn't sound like a bad idea in the first place, but
the writing was all over the wall, and I'll tell you why. Like you said, Nady, there was a very tight window of shooting these movies. So Godzilla King of the Monsters comes out in May. You've got this coming out in March. Godzilla King of the Monsters, they seem to be at least a little bit confident in because they released a trailer for it at 2018 Comic-Con. Like, almost a full year ahead. Mm-hmm. This one had even less of a timetable, and there was nothing at Comic-Con in July.
I've had to use a placeholder, like, widescreen poster for the movie draft purposes because we don't have an official poster yet that's in the right format.
Yeah, and that's concerning for a movie coming out, set to come out in March.
Especially one this big that really needs to be a hit. Like, you want as many people as possible knowing about this.
Yeah, Godzilla vs. King Kong should be huge.
Yeah.
Should be.
If we went out on the street, Billy on the Street style, and we put a mic in someone's face, first of all, they would, if it was Jake, they'd be like, go away. If it was Nate, then they would listen.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Then we asked them, do you know that a Godzilla vs. King Kong movie was coming out? I wager to say that 7 out of 10 people would not know. And that's and that awareness problem is key when you're marketing these movies. Yeah, I think there is definitely something in this production they're scared about. We probably won't be getting a lot of footage of this anytime soon, so we can put this issue to bed. Let's talk about another major Warner Brothers property. Guys, Batman's awesome, right?
Duh.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Well, right. Every now and then he's not, but mostly.
That was a layup. All you had to do was say yes. Y'all made it complicated. Batman himself is dope. Batman's arch nemesis, Joker, has a billion-dollar movie this year. That doesn't sit very well with Batman. So he is assembling a Murderers Row cast for his next movie. I say this like Batman's in the meetings, the casting direction. He's sitting on the casting couch.
Sitting? No, he's hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah. Can you try this line? Can you try this line a little different? Robert Pattinson, as you know, best from Twilight, but from other things like The Lighthouse, which is an amazing movie.
Unfortunately, he's best known for Twilight, but yes, I can react to that. I recently saw The Lighthouse, and he is excellent.
The Lighthouse, Good Time, Lost City of Z. That's 3 right there where he's done good things besides Twilight. He will be Batman. We've known this for a while now. What we haven't known is how they're going to fill out the rest of the cast. How director-writer Matt Reeves, who did the 2 excellent Planet of the Apes prequel sequels, he is writing and directing. He was originally working with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck exited the project. Here's the cast they've assembled so far. Zoe Kravitz will be playing Catwoman. Paul Dano will be playing the Riddler. Colin Farrell will be playing Penguin. Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon. Andy Serkis is Alfred Pennyworth. The actress Jamie Lawson is an unknown. We don't know who she's playing. It's being heavily speculated that she's playing Barbara Gordon. They're still looking to cast a Harvey Dent role. Oh, I didn't even mention the reason we're talking about this. John Turturro has been cast as Carmine Falcone, the big crime boss that was played by Tom Wilkinson in Batman Begins. This is quite the cast and quite the approach for what is not an origin story, but is the first movie for a specific Batman. There are a lot of villains in this thing, and that doesn't always go great. But Nate, do you think this could work?
I hope so. Ever since Amazing Spider-Man, I've been nervous about multiple villains per movie, especially when we haven't even established who this Batman is yet. Is he going to be a murderous psychopath like in Snyder's universe? Ooh. Or is he going to be like the one we're more familiar with, Dark Knight, or even before then? A lot of question marks. It's a good cast, but I do want to remember that we've had lots of great actors and actresses play Batman villains in very bad Batman movies. Cough, cough, Batman and Robin cough.
You okay? You got a bad cough over there.
It's something. So I'm never outright pessimistic about casting announcements. There's so much to speculate about. But I think it's very interesting that they're filling out the cast so much so early.
Jake, you've been licking your beard over there. You got something to say?
All the viewers know exactly what you're talking about. All the listeners. I'm intrigued. My biggest pro is that Matt Reeves is behind it. Matt Reeves is excellent on Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes. Both are, one is great, one is extremely good. I love that whole trilogy. So I'm very excited to see his take on Batman. I think he's got a lot of potential. I like this new Robert Pattinson era that we're potentially entering. We'll see where it goes. I like it so far. I'm also, a little tangent, he's going to be in Christopher Nolan's next movie in summer of 2020. So
yes.
Directors are looking at him, and good directors are looking at him. So those are pros. To agree with Nate, I'm a little, not worried, but confused as to why so many villains. I guess maybe it's going to be very comic booky, where like they all can just be there and have parts to contribute.
But like, could this be like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where the Rhino shows up for 2 scenes?
Right, that's what I'm wondering also.
Pointless? I don't know.
I do think that might be the approach. There are 2 different ideas of how I think this is going to go, and they're based on pitches that I've seen that I really like. The first is, have you guys ever heard of the comic The Long Halloween?
No, actually.
That's one of the more popular Batman comics, and it features a huge rogues gallery of villains. And it's the whole idea that, yes, it's like the Arkham City video game, where it's very much exploring Arkham City as the villain, as opposed to one singular villain. It's Batman trying to survive chaos. Alternatively, an idea I loved that I heard a while ago is an idea that he's going through Arkham Asylum a la The Raid.
Ooh.
Oh.
And if you've never seen The Raid, cool. It's the idea of somebody going floor to floor, taking on different challenges, similar to Dredd. That's another example.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a pitch. I really liked it. And that was first floated a while ago when Affleck was developing his version. So I don't know if that's still in the cards.
That's interesting.
If that is the case, that's freaking genius. Floors of Arkham, we have never seen the prison like long term in a good movie before, right?
Yeah, we've seen bits and pieces of it. Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, it's featured at points.
So to answer Nate's question, no.
Correct. Yeah.
That is a great excuse to pin a whole lot of villains and Batman in a tight space. I feel like that could have a lot of potential if you do it right.
Correct. And that's the other thing. I do like the casting choices so far. They're not, I mean, other than, I would say Colin Farrell's very well known as an actor by this point, but they didn't cast any crazy heavyweights. Like, there is no DiCaprio or like a Tom Hanks or, you know, a Matt Damon, nothing like that. They cast a lot of great actors who aren't really A-listers. Yeah, and I really like all that.
But are all pretty suited to the roles. Especially, I love Paul Dano as the Riddler. I think that's such a good choice. Zoe Kravitz is a very good choice as well. Colin Farrell's not what I expected, just because you think of someone short for the Penguin. But really, the Penguin just has to be a crime boss, like with the Penguin style.
Yeah.
But that movie will start shooting soon. I expect we'll see Pattinson in the Batsuit probably before the summer, because they'll want to get that image out there, and then we'll probably get a first look around Comic-Con 2020, I would think, if we go by past precedent of what DC likes to do. They'll probably attach a trailer to Wonder Woman 1984 next summer. So that's the Batman. Completely pivoting to something very different, but it's another interesting topic in a different way that we wanted to discuss here on the show. Musical biopics we've talked about a lot in the past. It's a controversial genre because a lot of them have kind of been ruined by Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, because they're very by the numbers and all go through the same formula. And one of those ones that I felt like went through a very similar formula and fudge facts, and I wasn't a big fan of, even though the rest of the world loved it, was Bohemian Rhapsody, which made $903 million worldwide, which every time I say it, I want to throw up because I cannot believe that happened.
And comically won some Oscars.
And won Best Editing for...
Yeah.
which Nate here could edit it better, but...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this has been a very pro-Nate podcast, by the way, even more than usual.
When is it not?
I appreciate the love.
Touché. So from Bohemian Rhapsody, producer Graham King, he wants to keep the momentum going. So he's moving from Freddie Mercury, one of the legends of rock, to the king of pop. Michael Jackson will be getting his own biopic film. It's been authorized by Michael Jackson's estate, which, as you guys know, based on his controversial past, it's not the easiest thing to do, but they can use all of his music. The script is being written by John Logan, who did Gladiator, Skyfall, The Aviator, a bunch of stuff, a lot of good, not great movies. And before you think about censoring, of course, Leaving Neverland, the very popular HBO miniseries from earlier this year, chronicled a lot of the abuse that Michael Jackson allegedly levied on different little boys. And of course, that's a big part of Michael Jackson's legacy. Apparently, King says that this movie will not skimp on that stuff. It will touch on it somewhere. So that's interesting, because with the estate involved, I don't know if I trust that, but I'll get into my opinion on that in a second. Jake, what do you think about this idea, and I guess about musical biopics in general?
Well, it's also interesting because we just got a documentary about all of that stuff. I don't know, it's interesting that it just got greenlit after a documentary like that, which definitely didn't show him in a great light.
Right.
I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was, like, generally I liked it, but I didn't think it was anything special. I liked it more than you guys did, but I did not like it enough to where I thought it should win any kind of Oscars. But I was okay with Rami Malek being nominated, but aside from that, I know I didn't see the Rocket Man one about Elton John. I heard that was really good. I know there's an Aretha Franklin one coming out. It's popular. I'm not surprised. These were legends at one point, some of them living. I'm okay with almost anything as long as you do it well, do it right, don't insult the audience, do it justice. But that's why Michael Jackson is so interesting. There's got to be so much to cover. I can't imagine this movie's shorter than 2.5 hours. He changed the pop genre, which is arguably the biggest genre, and he had all that controversy with, pedophilia and all that stuff. So I can't even imagine how they're going to do this.
Yeah. Important distinction about Leaving Neverland before we move on. I love that documentary. It might be a top contender for me for one of my favorite. I don't know if you count it as a film. It's certainly like an event of the year because it's just so powerful, but it is very anti-him without a voice from the Michael Jackson camp. It's very one-sided. I mean, and granted, it's the side of alleged victims, so it's very powerful, but if you're looking for a more comprehensive viewpoint of how everybody feels about him, in theory, this will be that. But I don't know, Nate, because I'm not sure how much the estate is going to allow as far as the icky material.
If I was a lawyer or some sort of consultant, like trying to get this movie from yellow light to green light, I would put the brakes on it. Like, I don't like this idea at all, honestly. I think there's way too much bad press on Michael's side as of right now, as is. And I feel like this is going to be a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people, like especially the wake of the Me Too movement. And like, we're still finding out stuff about Harvey Weinstein right now. I'm not saying like they're exactly the same, but it's all in that same vein in the cultural movement right now. So it'll be interesting. Tying this to the Bohemian Rhapsody guy and the Michael Jackson estate doesn't give me a lot of confidence that this is going to be a honest portrayal. Rocket Man, that was a pretty honest portrayal. And came from Elton John himself.
Right, which was very big of him to be a part of that and kind of self-reflect, yeah.
Absolutely. So that was a great way to show not only a musician's legacy, but also how his legacy has this whole underbelly that takes a lot to open up. But that said, what Elton John went through is very different from what Michael Jackson is accused of doing. And I see that rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, regardless of what the facts are. And yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody was kind of weak because it really sanitized a lot of the darker aspects of not only Freddie's life, but the band's life. I bring this up all the time, that Fat Bottom Girls was written from experience. But in the movie, the rest of the band members are portrayed as like Christian, I love my wife kind of people. And that might have been true later in life, but definitely wasn't during their rock star days. And they just kind of skim over a lot of the sex and the drugs and the whatnot.
Right, it's PG-13.
Yeah, and so Bohemian Rhapsody, great music video, but not a very accurate biopic. Giving it back to Graham King doesn't give me a ton of confidence.
And not to, we didn't even bring up Michael Jackson's famous surgery, apart from all the accusations that he has. There's a lot to cover in this kind of movie.
Oh my God, yes.
A lot of controversy.
There's no shot it's under 2.5 hours, first of all.
Yeah, there's way too much to cover. Who even plays that? Who wants to take on that kind of role?
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. But listen, we're not saying that you can't make a really good movie from a person that was not a great person.
Or even just complex. He's a complex guy at the very least.
Right. There have been plenty of movies, even straight up, and I'm not saying this is what Michael Jackson was, but there have been great biopics about straight up villains of history. If it's an interesting subject, it will make for an interesting movie. I think what we're concerned about is specifically execution, especially with people so close to him involved. Like, that is dangerous. And that kind of also, going back to Bohemian Rhapsody, not even Freddie Mercury, but the other members of Queen being so involved did have an influence on the production. Because like you guys were saying about Fat Bottom Girls, you know, they don't want themselves to be seen as the guys talking about women's asses. They want to be seen as, you know, good people.
Right, and $900 million worth of people are going to see this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the guy that you came out and was like, oh, Brian May seemed like a real asshole. And it's like, no. And that's just natural. Like, I mean, it's really hard to do like what Elton John did. And I think this movie, it's going to be very difficult for the family to remove themselves from that, especially given everything that's happened with leaving Neverland recently.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. Woof indeed. That will do it here for this section of the Middle Seats podcast. You enjoyed some lobby talk, some news, and some box office updates. If you want to hear our Frozen 2 review, look for a separate video. But for now, for Jake Hensler and Nate Lungarini, I'm Andrew Auger. Keep that seat warm, everyone. We'll be back soon.